Hello and welcome to Hong Kong Business Owners. I'm Carmen, founder of this podcast that shares inspiring stories from entrepreneurs based in Hong Kong. Whether you created your own business, thinking about doing so, or simply curious to discover business creation stories, you'll get to listen to unique business owners' journeys, to learn what it takes to start a company, what the keys to success are, how to apprehend failures and challenges, and what to keep in mind when developing your own business. As an entrepreneur, one of your main focus is to sell your products or services. That's where marketing comes into play, especially digital marketing and social media. Do you know how much time we spend every day on social media? More than 2 hours. That's an opportunity to interact with your audience, reach new customers, and get more visibility. To find out more about how to leverage social media to grow your business, check out oak.genhk.com, the agency that helps business owners find their place on social media. Now let's move on to the episode. I hope it'll inspire you and guide you in your current or future projects. And don't forget to give me 5 stars to show me your support. Welcome everyone to this new episode of Hong Kong Business Owners. Today I'm with Sarah Fung, founder of HULA, a consignment platform and a community of fashion lovers who care about the planet. HULA makes it easy to monetize your wardrobe and then to refresh it with curated designer womenswear offering. They also have 2 walk-in stores, one on Hollywood Road in Central and a warehouse in Quarry Bay. Morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Lovely to have you here. How are you?
I'm good.
So let's start straight in. So HULA is all about circular fashion. And I guess you have a background in fashion, right? So have you always wanted to have a career in fashion?
I kind of fell into it, honestly. When I was in London, I was born and raised in UK. I was never really good at school, I would say, or good at studying. I wasn't studious. I wasn't academic. And I knew that I was really good at creating things with my hands. And at the age of 16, about 16, 17, I took myself off school, didn't do my A-levels, and I went straight on to do jewellery design. And so that's where the first part of, learning about design and craft, I ended up getting into St. Martin's to do my degree. And I did a jewellery design degree there, and I stayed there for 3 years. So when you're at St. Martin's, of course, it's very fashionable, and that's where all the fashion students are and the coolest people in London then. So, of course, the fashion part was really quite, at the forefront of where we were and the connections that we made and everything else. So I'd always been in fashion in essence. I know I made jewelry, but I call it fashion because it's part of that whole, kind of chain. And when I finished my jewelry degree, I ended up just starting a jewelry business as soon as I left, where I was doing, making fashion jewelry and selling it at London Fashion Week. Yeah.
So you really started, you were independent very early on.
I'd only had jobs in restaurants and bars and shops. I actually worked in shops a lot for, as a student. And so those were the basic things I knew in terms of working for people. Yeah. So I ended up, and I think it's very London, like people just do their own thing because it's very easy to set up a business there. Some countries it's a lot harder if you don't have money.
And how did this interest in sustainability emerge? Is it because of your experience in the fashion industry? Maybe you saw the consequences of this industry on the planet, or was it something else?
Well, being from London, I'd always bought secondhand, and I was a poor student, couldn't afford anything anyway. But it wasn't for me anything negative. We all shopped secondhand, we called it. We didn't call it pre-owned then. And it wasn't a big thing, really. When I actually, the next phase was actually I had a lingerie and swimwear business after that, where I did that for like 7 years actually. I ended up giving that up and working for Lane Crawford in Hong Kong. So I emigrated here, and I know I'm from Hong Kong, my family from Hong Kong, but I'd only been to Hong Kong twice in my life, and I didn't know it at all. So I literally came as kind of like an expat, and I worked for Lane Crawford for almost 10 years. It was a great time, I guess. Like, Hong Kong was buzzing. It was a fun place to be, hard, but fun. I met a lot of great people there. But yeah, towards the end of my time there, I realized how much waste there was, and in the industry, and we were having more and more collections, and there just seemed to be a lot of leftovers and in the sale. Also, I started realizing, why isn't there any secondhand shops, or why is this business model not here? And when I first got to Hong Kong, I didn't really think about it that much because I had a 50% discount card at Lane Crawford. So I was quite happy, just like, oh, this is really great. I'm spending. And, we were all shopping so much. 10 years ago, we were all shopping so much. It was just, Zara's. It was the fast fashion was on the rise. People in Hong Kong were just crazy and for shopping. And I didn't know this because in the UK, people don't really shop like that. And so this was completely new to me. But yeah, I shortly realized that there was a lot of waste. And then a lot of friends were asking me, I've got so much stuff. Where'd you get rid of things apart from eBay? And then eBay was only in Chinese and nobody could access it. And I don't think it was a good place to sell fashion. And so I decided to have a look around. I found that there wasn't anything that was inspiring for me. So I decided to set HULA up.
You just said in London, this is not the way people shop. So what's the difference then?
In London, London
or maybe
is quite
in
big.
Europe? Or?
Yeah, Europe. I think, in Europe, I think people, it's quite a broad and large landscape, right? I feel like the hunger for retail and shopping, I feel like shopping is a sport in Hong Kong. It really is. It's a hobby. It's a sport. And although, of course, women, especially in London, love shopping, I just felt like in Hong Kong, people wanted newness more because it was a small region and you always bumped into the same crowd and you couldn't possibly wear the same thing at another event, right? So I think that encourages women to shop more. And also I think, women here really love to look great, and fashion for them is it makes them happy.
Yeah. It's a way to express.
It is a way to express. It's almost part of their wellness regime, you know. So it's like, I buy something and it might be short-lived, but some people go for a massage, other people go shopping.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they love luxury pieces, like luxury items.
Yeah, they like
maybe
branded,
more than...
Yes, exactly. They like branded items and they really look after their pieces very well. In the UK, what I notice, Europe's probably the same. People do wear their things till they're broken or till they're very old. And, it's great that they do. But I think in Hong Kong, you can't really get away with that as much.
Yeah, true. So you started your HULA, your business in Hong Kong, not in the UK, because you spent 10 years at Lane Crawford, and then you saw the opportunity here in Hong Kong,
Well, I was living here. Then I got married, so this was our home. So it wasn't I'm going to go back to UK and set this up. So suddenly we were here and I thought, there's an opportunity here, but not knowing that actually the reason why there wasn't anything here was because people who were local to Hong Kong didn't really want to shop secondhand products, or it wasn't elevated. It was always had a negative, vibe. And also the other thing is that I realized that people didn't seem to care about sustainability, or they didn't care about reusing things. And it took me a long while to change people's mindsets or to wait for the business model to start becoming popular. You know, for me, because I used to be a designer and a creator, and I also worked in luxury retail corporate. I knew all the efforts it took to create a piece, to make it, to, you know, sew it together, to do all of these things, and then to market it and to do all of those things. And I felt like it was such a waste of energy that people were spending on things when they didn't really appreciate how things were made. And I felt then that the element of craft was not being respected because fashion was getting cheaper and cheaper, and consumers were expecting cheaper and cheaper, and the brands were making it that way. And so there was a whole, you know, kind of obviously lifestyle that brands were trying to fulfill for consumers. And yeah, I mean, now luckily people have decided to, you know, be re-educated about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough path that you chose at that time, considering if you have to do this part about like educating people about that. So how did you do it? And also, how did you start HULA? Like, did you start selling in, I don't know?
Well, I mean, luckily I had a lot of friends and colleagues that some had left Lane Crawford, and I mean, I was there for 10 years. I just started collecting from people that I knew. So there was already a trust element, because really, if you set this business up, are you really going to give your expensive pieces to some random person? Because we don't buy them. It's all a consignment basis, which means we only pay for the item after it's sold. And so I managed to collect. My sister was helping with me at this time, so it's just two of us. And we had a small office in Sherman, like 200 square foot. And we just started collecting a few pieces. We started working out how to shoot things in the right way. We created a website, which was actually awful, terrible website.
But it was there.
It was there, but it just didn't really work. And it was very difficult to get off the ground. But I was collecting good pieces, but I always had a really core Western customers who would always be championing us. You know, they were always like, I'm so grateful that you're doing this. Oh my God, I can't believe something like this is in Hong Kong. And so, you know, as we grew, these women were always supporting us, and yeah, it's been great that we're still around, honestly. But yeah, I had to do a lot of panel discussions and networking, and I did kind of start thinking, you know, like, I mean, we were only online then. We never had a walk-in space, and customers were always asking, can I just come round and see this? You know, I'm just going to pop over. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Like, our office is really messy and horrible. And so we started like fixing it up. Like we were like, okay, let's put a change room on that corner. You know, let's make this half of the room look at least presentable. And slowly, we started creating like a little shop. It was like, you know, so when I had the chance to move, I decided to move somewhere bigger in Wan Chai Han. And actually by then we had created the biggest pre-owned warehouse space ever in Hong Kong. So this was really exciting for us. And this is when I saw the business model grow and be more accepted, because you could see the customers coming in, and they were not, you know, people that you would expect to buy pre-owned. They were cool and fashionable and hip, and, you know, and so I think having that really changed people's mindsets as well. Yeah.
And so how do you get the clothes? I mean, is it the people of the community that give you the clothes, or do you partner with businesses or brands?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We like the fact that we collect from individuals.
Okay.
Because we get then things that may have been purchased at the very beginning of a collection. If you only collect what brands cannot sell, then those are the things that people didn't want to buy, right, at the end. So, of course, there's an element of that, and there's always great pieces there. But we want to collect, we want the variety, we want the full of the hunt. It does make a difference when there's only one. And I think that's the very unique and special thing. And so when our customers shop, if they see something that fits them, they're keeping hold of that, and they don't want to let that go because they're like, oh my God, it fits me. There's only one. And the scarcity and the uniqueness of finding things that are not particularly of a particular season is what we really love. I mean, one day, yes, we will probably try and see if we can open it to brands. And obviously, that would make good business sense for sure. But we're not there yet. We've got way too many products.
Yeah.
We're very busy.
I went to the Quarry Bay warehouse, and I don't know if they're still available, but there's a pair of Balenciaga sneakers, the pink one, and it fits me perfectly. So
they're gone. Sorry.
I need to go back. But I thought about it. I was
I don't remember seeing them actually recently. So
also, my husband told me, oh no, they're hideous.
Oh, really?
Like the Gucci shoes. But I love them anyway.
Basically, the things that are fashionable men do not usually like. So. But you'll have to come back. But I think obviously having the warehouse in Quarry Bay, I mean, it's a very different experience,
Yeah.
Like the shop where we're sitting at right now is we have 1,000 pieces here. You can do it in 20 minutes. Women who live here can literally pop in every week, and they know we have new in every week. We do 2 drops, one on a Tuesday, one on a Friday. And regulars know that, and they'll keep coming in. Quarry Bay warehouse has thousands of pieces, like 5,000 pieces, and there you need time. We always say, bring a friend, don't go hungry, come and spend a couple of hours at least, because you need to be in the right frame of mind to do all that shopping and try loads of things on. But it's fun because you can play and be styled. And I think the great thing about pre-owned is that you can try high and low together. Like, I don't know about you. Do you ever go to a Chanel shop and try Chanel jackets?
No.
Exactly. I never did too before because it was too intimidating.
Yeah.
At least with pre-owned, you can get that experience. You can try on a pair of J brand denims with your Chanel jacket and see how that looks together and look at the craftsmanship and all of that. So I think there's lots of benefits to obviously shopping pre-owned.
Yeah. And so I guess you have a team that works with you, because that's a lot of work. So how many people are in your team?
I think I have around 23. I say I think because I have a lot of part-timers and a lot of interns coming in and out all the time. So, but around 23. But a lot of them are part-time. My core full-timers, there's around 8 of them. So it's challenging.
And do you have because I guess you have a big community, and that's the power also of your brand, to have this community of fashion lovers and people who also partner with you to give you clothes. So do you have a strategy, like a marketing strategy, to really grow this community? Do you work on that with your team? Do you have, I don't know, a digital marketing strategy? I saw you have social media. You also have a newsletter. You have a website. I guess, do you do also events, PR? How does it all come together?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is complicated and broad. I'm much more in the events and face-to-face type of marketing because for me, it's cheaper. And for a small brand, I think you need to do that. Yeah. It's slow, but it's word of mouth. It's
quality.
It's personal. And it's experiences, and that's what we're trying to create. Of course, we have a marketing strategy. We actually haven't really put money into digital marketing much in terms of ad spend. We only tried it last year. But I found the return isn't as good as the physical experience, honestly. Yeah. For us, people really like to come to the stores and shop. So it's about driving audience to the shop. The other thing that we started doing last year, or being more active on is doing 小红书, the Little Red Book in China, which is the Instagram there. And that's been great for us because our Chinese audience has really grown. We've now become like a destination for a lot of mainland Chinese consumers. And we really want to try and grow that, actually. That's something, I mean, getting into China is tricky and expensive and complicated, but we are becoming a destination and it's so easy to come back and forth, nowadays. So, that's what we're kind of focusing on.
Oh, cool. I was about to ask you, what's your next big achievement?
Well, I mean, currently we're still doing the Upper House pop-up in Pacific Place, which has been really great. I think for me this year, I want to focus on my team. I want to focus on operations and really kind of create more efficiencies. I think the business can grow by just doing more marketing. So we're going to focus on social media a bit more and do more there. But just keep a bit of a low key. Last year was a bit crazy, honestly. Like we moved to Quarry Bay. Then we tried to experiment with our sustainable pop-up called Anco, which we may do again. But there were just so many events that we felt like we had to do by driving people to the space. And, but I think now that people know about it, we can ease off a little bit on that and just do the big things that count.
Yeah. Well, social media, I guess, not talking about ads, but as you have people following you and you have people love coming here, that's also a great thing to share, I guess, on social media.
Yeah, I think it's easy because we have a lot of products and we've always got something new. Actually, the hard part is covering everything. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, that piece sold and it was amazing and we didn't show it. It was just sold too fast. And I mean, I obviously want it to be sold, but at the same time, there's a bit of a sinking feeling when really great things sell because I'm like, I don't have that anymore to promote. And so I think there's often, obviously, pros and cons to this business model, obviously. The fact that we don't have different sizes and SKUs and, or more of one item is sometimes challenging because customers also get very disappointed when that item has sold.
Yeah, but they know it. I mean, they know the game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a game,
and they come back.
It's a race.
Yeah, and they come. So actually, it's maybe something to leverage.
Yeah,
be like, oh, you want it? Because if you want it, you should buy it now.
Well, that's what we often say. Like, if you really want something, just quickly buy it online and try it on in the shop. Don't wait. It's very hard for us to reserve things because we also sell on different marketplaces and we can't just take it off at all marketplaces,
So earlier we were talking about educating people. So since you started HULA, do you see a difference in people's behaviors? Do you see also like people from Hong Kong and the expat? Do you see differences? How has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it used to be mostly an expat community. Since having the shop in Central, and we opened this in 2021. And by the way, we were only able to come here because rents had gone down after COVID. Before, this was just unreachable. So it gave us an opportunity, and always with something bad, something good happens, right? So that was the good thing. By being here, allowed us to connect with more local consumers because they're literally passing here all the time. A lot of them come into the shop and they're confused because they don't really know what it is. And then they start looking at stuff and then we're like, they said, what is this? And we're like, oh, it's pre-owned. And they said, what, you mean it's like someone didn't want this piece? And it's like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, they're so shocked because the quality, and they're shocked why people wouldn't want to have that in their wardrobe. And so we have definitely converted a lot of women because I remember there used to be a lot of women that used to be interested, especially like Chinese women who were interested in shopping with us, but then they would only want to shop with the items that had tags on it. So they knew that had never been worn. And anyway, on the website, you can search that way if people are really, funny about that, because at least, for us, we don't mind, because at least it's a foot in the door. And afterwards, after getting used to it, they may start shopping, and some of them do. They start shopping things without tags, because then they realize, oh God, it doesn't make a difference, Yeah.
And what do you think more generally about the sensitivity to sustainability in Hong Kong? Because saying that, because we talked about it before, but I was interviewing Chris Brown, the founder of Rethink, all about sustainability. And so I'm interested in knowing also your view on Hong Kong and sustainability.
I think that obviously there's been a great improvement over the last years, especially during and after COVID. And I think Hong Kong is quite special, honestly, because it's so small and because the same networks are hanging out together. When there's a trend like sustainability and people are talking about it, it tends to stay in the same circles and people talk about it a lot. I had a friend who moved back to the UK and she said, it's so interesting. People don't talk about sustainability in the same way as women in Hong Kong do. It's not really a topic. It's not like, ooh, have you heard about this? And they don't talk about it. Or they don't care, or maybe they're already doing it and it's natural in their lives. So it's not like a big deal. So I think it's very different, and it's great that it's emerging. I think it's great that sustainability is also sitting with very powerful, wealthy people and institutions. I think that is really where it starts and can grow because there's money behind it. And I think it's the same with fashion, if the big brands like Kering Group, LVMH, or the big designer brands are into sustainability, then it immediately makes people think, oh, well, that's accepted. That's cool. I think sustainability fashion sustainability sat in a very bad place before. I'm talking about 10, 20 years ago, because it was always things that were badly designed. It was from it was very kind of hippie, it was, fabrics made out of hemp, and it just didn't feel aspirational. It didn't feel that there was any design element to that, I think a lot of things have changed. And of course, there's brands like Stella McCartney that have been doing it for so long and trying to change it from the top down.
Yeah. I was listening to you very carefully because it really reminds me of when I graduated to the business school. I graduated marketing degree, and to validate my master's, I had to, write a thesis or something like that. And the topic was, and it was I don't know, a bit less than 10 years ago, can fashion be sustainable? And at that time, it was a real topic because luxury was not at all compatible with sustainability. So I wrote on that, and I remember...
so you know quite a lot about it then.
Yeah, I remember the articles that I read, and it's changed so much and for the good.
Yeah, it has, but unfortunately, it is a bit late.
Yeah.
It's very late. So, like I said, with the power of, technology and money, it can only change from that. It needs a lot of energy and funds. So it's not going to change overnight. Fashion is still a problem. That's why I always say, of course, biodegradable fabrics, digital clothing, all of this is going to come at some point. But it's not mass yet, and it won't be for a while. Yeah. The fastest thing you can do right now is to buy secondhand in any aspect instead of new. I mean, the best thing to do is not to buy anything, right? But we're human, and we want to have fun, and we want to, be different and look different and feel confident. And so, I always say this is the quickest way to help.
Yeah. Well, I heard someone saying every time I buy something, I need to get rid of something, giving it to someone, or
But that's
so difficult to do.
That's more of a wardrobe management issue, though. Yeah. But I guess it depends how she buys the item and where she gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. A lot of people think, I just donate it to charity and that's helping. It doesn't help. There's too many things that have been donated to charity that cannot be sold. It gets dumped in underprivileged countries. There's villages that are literally living in mounds and mounds and mounds of textiles waste that are completely polluting their environment. In Africa, they don't even want any of our cheap clothes anymore. They don't want it. They're like, I'm sorry, but we also have designers that we want to promote. And then things just get dumped. And even if it's free, somebody might not want it, right? So that's why I always say, when you buy something, buy good quality. You don't have to spend that much money. I mean, you can buy it secondhand. Just buy good quality, because if you start buying fast fashion, it's not worth anything. As soon as you walk out the door, it's worth absolutely nothing. In fact, you might even have to pay someone to remove it. So I think it's the thing of leaving a shop and feeling really great about buying that piece for years and years to come. Or knowing that actually, you know what, I can sell this. I don't need it now. I've changed my mind. I don't want it after a year, right? But I can resell it because it's a good brand. It's been made well.
Yeah, it's a very different way of seeing how we buy things in general.
I mean, now, I never used to do this, but now I always think, when I buy it, I always think, could I resell it?
Yeah.
If I don't want to.
That's
and if I can, then I buy it.
That's a good piece of advice to keep in mind. Well,
the thing is that if you buy and sell pre-owned, and you buy pre-owned in the first place, then you resell it, you end up really not spending that much on clothes.
Yeah, true.
Because you can always make some money back from it, right?
Cool. Well, this brings us to the last question, which is also about asking you for tips and lessons you learned about your experience as a business owner. Are there things that you'd like to share with other entrepreneurs?
I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah, I know.
So many things.
Maybe a couple of things.
A couple of things that I'm that I always think about. I mean, in terms of you as a person, I always say that do not start a business unless you're quite a positive person. I think you're going to go through so many hurdles that you need to be very positive. You need to always be able to look on the bright side of things. You may also need to be a little bit naive and really have a belief that you can do something when you probably clearly can't. Had I known the things that I knew, I would never have started this. Had I worked in the industry previously, I may not have started it at all. And I think sometimes the more knowledge you have, the worse it is. So, I mean, to have knowledge about, obviously things that you need to know about starting a business is great. But to have too much historical stuff that you know about a certain industry makes you not want to do it, if you know what I mean.
That's a good one. Actually, the first time I hear that in the podcast when I asked that question. Yeah. But
naivety has gotten me so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call it stupidity too. But it's it got me very far because I was always, and the positivity part has to be together. So I'm always I can do it. And then I'm like, oh my God.
But how do you balance that? Because you need to be positive, and if you're naive, it's even better. But also, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to fall in this trap. I can do everything. No.
But part of your mind obviously needs to be analytical and also know that you may not succeed. So I do have that in. I'm not crazy. I know that I worry. I worry that the business doesn't grow. I worry that we're not making money. I do think that even though we're growing and people are like, oh my God, you're doing so great, I always think I may not be here tomorrow. So I do what I can. I work very hard. I do what I can to make the business survive from day-to-day basis. And I think putting the hard work in. But, yeah, there's an element of who I am, which is very a yes person, a can-do person. And if you're not a can-do person, then I don't think having a business is for you. The other thing is that the amount of things that I have to do, I have to be so hands-on. So hands-on. Yes. You have to do everything yourself. So be prepared to get your hands dirty. And you can't be like, oh, well, can someone do that for me? You can't pay someone to do it all the time because you have no money. So it's those, that kind of attitude, I think, really helps.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing. It was lovely to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And keep up the good work. It's really great that you're highlighting Hong Kong businesses and, hopefully letting others, start their own business.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
So if our dear listeners want to find out more about you, about HULA, and if they maybe want to check out nice clothes, where should they go?
Well, come to the Central Shop. We've always got a really great edit, and that's what we say is the entry level to pre-owned, and then come over to the warehouse. Quite often, some people come here at the Central Shop, and then when they hear that we have this warehouse with thousands of items, they take a taxi and they take a train literally to, see us. So, yeah, come and visit us.
Cool. Thank you. I'll add all the links and the address and everything in the description of the episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I hope you're inspired by today's business story. And if you're thinking about running your own business, you might now be one step closer to doing so. If you own a business and you're looking to get more visibility and reach new customers, try the social media pack from Octogen, a monthly retainer to grow your business through social media marketing and optimization. Check out octogenhk.com, the agency that helps business owners find their place on social media. See you in 2 weeks to meet a new Hong Kong business owner, and don't forget to leave me 5 stars to support me and follow me on Instagram at hk.businessowners. Bye!